Greetings to everybody. Welcome to one and all for the literature reading session. Today we are going to read a deep topic from Complete Works of Ram Chandra, Volume 6 by Babuji. It is probably difficult for all of us to understand the depth of the journey. So we have to, only solution is condition. Solution is through meditation. When we are able to meditate and the condition appears from within, when the vital force, the prana, the life force starts to move freely and ascend upwards, depending on how far it is able to ascend, knowledge descends upon us. And we also talked about the concept that in deep sleep and in meditation, thinking disappears, thoughts disappear. In deep sleep, awareness is also gone. But in meditation, awareness remains. So that is why we are able to know that we are having thoughts. In deep sleep, awareness is not there. So meditation means remaining as relaxed as in deep sleep and yet being aware. We have to allow the thoughts to fall off, but let awareness remain. As you do that, we realize that there is no mind, only floating thoughts are there. And as you ignore the thoughts, you will start to feel what is behind. And it is all space. And this is what the sages call the no mind zone. So, to experience the ultimate presence, only solution is through meditation. Because thoughts are not coming from inside. They are all from the outside impressions. So they don't really belong to us. So when you let go, they drop off. For the pure self does not own the thoughts. So the whole of the science of meditation is nothing but centering. That's why Daji keeps saying that be centered. Performing with centeredness and peacefulness, even in utmost urgency, should be the effect of meditation. So we have to introspect. Are we under difficult situations in life? Are we performing with centeredness? That is the question each one of us should ask ourselves. So the whole of the science of meditation is nothing but centering, moving towards the center, and being rooted there, grounded there. And from that space of that grounding rootedness in the center, the whole perspective changes. It is like when you are looking from the bottom of the mountain or when you climb up to the top of the mountain, the perspective changes. This is what centeredness does, is clarity changes. So centering in the consciousness is the mastery of the mind. So unless and until we have that kind of mastery of the mind, even the teachings of the masters is difficult to understand. It's very difficult to understand the teachings of the masters unless we have that kind of centered mind. Why I am saying this topic that Babaji Maharaj is going to talk about, Maha Maya, is very difficult to understand. So let us pay attention to hear what he is trying to say. You have asked, Maha Maya is beyond Maya. In one sense, it is the ultimate source. You have asked a few questions in your letter, and I am replying to the best of my capacity. You can measure the validity of the responses yourself, because my condition has always been that of an ignorant, illiterate person, and when I come out of it, I have no awareness of myself. So, if we want to judge our progress, a lot of times we ask, am I progressing? The sign of progress is, to me, you feel you are nothing but dust. You really feel you know nothing. Normally, the word Maha is used when we do not have any awareness or knowledge of the dimensions of the condition coming ahead. That is something beyond you, something that you don't understand. The same is the condition here. The same is true when the word Maha is fixed with Maya, where even the thought of Maya looks immeasurable. When you are unable to understand what Maya is, illusion is, that is Maha Maya. It is impossible to fathom the word Maya. Is it in the periphery of our thoughts or beyond? If it is in the periphery of our thoughts, then it is Maya. Otherwise, it is known as Mahamaya. Now, that can only be measured when the last layer of air also has vanished and the flight of our thoughts goes beyond it. So, even to understand that, we have to master the air element. We have to cross that fifth point where that veil is vanished. So, what is mastering each chakra is each veil is being vanished. That is why Lalaji Maharaj wrote, at every chakra, the darkness is removed, the light is removed, the brightness and the luminosity is also removed. Then the point comes to a state of balance and is akin to the ultimate. Then you know that the veil is not there. Now the borders don't exist. Yet thought cannot explore beyond its limit because there are innumerable layers. Hence, it cannot be named. If something is thrown very high and you are asked to say where it is, your eyes may see it, but you cannot specify its exact location. If something is derived from the unlimited, it will carry the essence of its origin and thus in itself will have a sense of limitlessness. So even our inner self is limitless. To explore that is trying to go beyond this, beyond Maya, Mahamaya. Now, what is that feeling and how do you feel it? It is through thought, not with the hands. So, thought becomes a tool to realize. And what type of thought? This is why Daji keeps on saying about meditate as much as possible, center yourself. So, it becomes dhyanaja chitta, a meditative mind. Mind becomes a meditative mind. And that kind of thought has the power to penetrate, to feel the journey. The thought which has gone beyond. It is actually something else, but thought is called thought. These thoughts break a lot of limitations, meaning they more or less become associated with that which we want to achieve. Both things of the same essence run in parallel so that now the thoughts are realized. It is beyond anybody's capacity to explain what Babuji Maharaj is saying. Only those who has experienced it with meditation maybe can have a glimpse of what he's trying to say. And now if its state or status has to be explained, it will be like bringing limitlessness to the limited. So to bring the limitlessness, if you want to express it as a thought, it becomes limited. So it has no expression. Even if you could do so, now please explain how. When limitation is developed in thoughts, they can never give any idea of the limitless state. So now tell me, how can anyone reveal the whereabouts of the place of Maha Maya? That is the ultimate. A circle can be drawn to explain it to someone, but that is only to help them understand. And that is why Daji tried to draw idea of the chakras, draw the idea of the koshas. So we have an idea, but it is a vibratory field. Who can say how it is? Intercommunication received from Swami Vivekananda. I challenge every philosopher of India to relate these subjects as it is. You have asked if this is the same Maha Maya that created the world. Is it the same center, the ultimate that created the world? Truly speaking, we make the world. While arriving or departing, we make those things available which form the base for future developments. So, how we live this life. That is why Daji says, designing your destiny. So, that is why utilizing the time properly, appropriately, giving enough attention to this inner self is important. This is not something made by the ultimate divine God. Only the first jerk was from him, the stir, the kshob as it is called. And that produced the vibration that produced everything. The vibration of that first stir in the center, the Big Bang, the kshob as it is called. That vibration is what produced everything. Hence, that vibration became the cause for all creation. Similarly, iron ore was produced in the earth, and as it came out, it became the base for the machinery that was created for the whole world, which was put to use in various ways. The velocity generated through that first vibration will not end until the world ends. The start and the end of this world depend on the velocity of that vibration. Now, what is in between? That same velocity and strong force which was there at the time of the creation of this world, and many other powers are present in between. This is the condition between both the ends, and going beyond that is difficult. Nothing stands equal to that force, and it produces jerks like in direct current. And these jerks like thing in the from the direct current is what created the knots in the human being, the chakras. The point that is in between is also very powerful. Always the midpoint in anything is very powerful. It has more power to push downwards, although it does not have the strong power that is there in the middle point. That middle point is the cause of the next condition. If observed keenly, a few millimeters or so away from the middle point is another point that has some life in it and also has the power of moderation. So this word centered has a very vast meaning which is beyond our understanding. So arriving at that centeredness creates the understanding in us to even know what the masters are saying. As you grow higher and higher from this middle point, its power is moderated, meaning its nature starts feeling the reflection of reality. When you cross the midpoint is when a reflection of the ultimate reality falls on us, a reflection. Now, from that point of moderation, man can descend, and avatars descend from the middle point. An avatar's descent happens in such a way that he comes with the fragrance of that point of moderation, which is a few millimeters away, so that he has some human tendencies. So this is in this journey from that region. When they come, they're little from the middle, they're few millimeters away. So they have some human qualities in them. So they're able to survive on the earth because earth plane's vibration is very low. So Lord Krishna descended from this middle point, and Ram Chandra, Lord Rama, had no touch of that middle point. Ram Chandra came from the point a few millimeters away, which has human tendencies. So Lord Krishna performed so many miracles. Lord Rama remained as a human being. He was known as a righteous man, a man that performed his duty towards everything in the world perfectly. Because he was few millimeters away from that midpoint, so he descended from that soul, descended from that region, so it had the qualities of humanness. But Lord Krishna descended from that midpoint, so there is more divinity. He did all miracles. Ramchandra Maharaj came from the point a few millimeters away, which has human tendencies, and that is why his avatar was not as strong as Lord Krishna. Rama was known as Maryada Purushottam. That means a supreme man with honor and righteousness. Because he led his life in that way, and he had the capacity in abundance because that was the need of the time. So here also we have to understand, depending on the need of the time, personalities who need as much power, if the times are good and if the uh, time doesn't need such a great personality, the personality little lesser than that will come to help. In that sense, it's no high or less the need of the earth. What is the need of the moment? So he had that capacity in abundance because that was the need of the time. Now, whatever the present condition is, only God knows. Time of our earth now. But my reading is informing me that I am right. Whatever special personality is working now, he has more power than that of the middle point. This is about Babaji Maharaj. And that is why he has human qualities also. Nobody has been blessed with this till now. I have written as my experience guided me. Divine, the ultimate, is the real knower. I have revealed these points by the grace of that ultimate divinity. That is from Swami Vivekananda. Intercommunication received from Lalaji Maharaj. It will take many generations to study, understand, and explain this. It's like us, we are only third or fourth generation or fifth generation after the great masters. And now we are having a glimpse of it, which we don't even understand. So that's why Lalaji is saying it will take many generations to study, understand, and explain this. I will tell you one more thing. I have mentioned the points as a few millimeters apart because if you look at the 2 points from a far distance, they will appear to you to be joined. If dear Ramchandra breaks his physical limitations, then this will appear unlimited to him. I don't know what it means. You have written that at the time of creation of this universe, divine ultimate assumed an egg-like form, which contained within it the whole creation in seed form. And that is why this everything in creation, that is, it is egg, womb, because that was the womb of the ultimate that creation started from. And that pattern exists in every species in the earth. I am not a well read person, and you have been exposed to my ignorance during my association with you. Whatever answer is coming in the mind of this ignorant person, I am writing. That is the greatness of the master, that They have that utmost humbleness to feel like they know nothing. And when somebody says, I know everything, that shows the state of ego and the grosser state. Many people said egg like because there is life force in it. To understand, maybe people use this as an analogy. That egg like form appears to have come much later than the first jerk or stir. So he's saying that it wasn't in the first, the ultimate, it was not there, it came after. To understand, we can say that at the starting point of the first jerk, it was like a knot. Almost all the energy was consumed in descending. The weakening or lessening of its intrinsic force, much like happens with a waterfall, created a space which can be called the egg like form, which contained within it the whole blueprint of the universe. This egg like form has the whole blueprint of the universe, and it can be said that it was the first covering of the universe. All the powers necessary for the creation of the world were latent in it, and this is my reply about the egg like form. Now, listen further. The necessary paraphernalia for creation was available before there was life. Because if life has been there beforehand, it would have shown some sign of existence. When you have things available to be kept, then a place would have been built to keep them. Your next question related to this is, at the designated time, will an avatar appear? The answer is clear from the statement given above. You have also asked another question of this most insignificant being. The question that Babaji Maharaj gave to Lalaji was, is the source from where grace comes the base or somewhere else? I will go into too much philosophy. I will not go into too much philosophy, but will reply in short. Tell me now, the air that you are breathing, where is it contained? I do not think you can reply. The question you have raised will only be answered if the entire philosophy of Sahaj Marg is described. If you prefer a short reply, it is enough to submit it prayerfully. You may cut your coat according to the cloth. I would say one gets as per his deservingness or per his capacity. That is why in spirituality, we have to always strive to increase our capacity by meditating more so we can receive more, and by increase our deservingness with proper introspection, observing ourselves, removing the defects in us. Whatever I have dictated above has been carefully considered. Its veracity can be judged when the reader also understands and experiences it. It is possible that the same mistake was made with the Vedas. Errors were repeated again and again, but the meaning was not understood by anyone. I repeat again, to lead a balanced life, practical experience is very important. Orators keep on talking, but puzzles are still not solved. The reason for this is that people have tried to solve the problems of others merely based on what they have read. In fact, these knots and puzzles can only be solved when a person has solved his own problems. So, until and unless you achieve a condition, you cannot really bestow it on another person. You cannot give what you do not have. No other means for this comes to my mind. It is difficult to answer the question you have asked about grace. The word bhandar, meaning storehouse or repository, is so vast in itself When we use this word, the whole thing, that is, the center, including the invisible motion surrounding it, comes to view. That is why it is very difficult to judge from which point the grace comes from. So, here, how does grace shower upon us? A master who is capable of tapping into that field can bestow grace upon us. Nobody has paid much attention to one thing, that every particle or atom has present in it all the centers there in the circle. Hence, the same grace can come from an atom that also comes from the real source or bandhar. I hope people will not conclude from this writing of mine that because particles are present in an ideal too, if we do ideal worship, we get the same grace, as this is not what I mean. Although a person whose condition and connection has become so fine or focused that he sees reality in everything can derive grace even from an atom. So if our condition is so pure that we are able to perceive that divinity in an atom, we will be able to. But if you are not able to perceive the divinity in every cell of existence, then you cannot derive benefit from it. Consciousness also expands. The more you refine it, the more it will come to its original state. And the essence of grace also changes accordingly. The more you refine it, the more you refine your consciousness, the more the consciousness comes to its original state. And depending on how you expand your consciousness, you are able to attract the grace. When expansion becomes vast and the power of suggestion is directed forward, consciousness reaches the highest of its potentiality. After staying there for a period, if an abhyasi is courageous, his flight continues. And after reaching the pinnacle of potentiality of consciousness, it goes still beyond. If strength and courage are left, then we get the good news of crossing this also. Upon expansion in this point, there is the possibility of going even further. Having reached this point, there is yet another circle. Reaching that final circle, we attain the state of Jivan Mukta, Jivan Moksha. When a person who has reached up to that stage transmits, we can say it is real grace. That is why, for us, grace descends from our Guru's consciousness. Every particle of his being is so pure that he is totally one with reality. I have told you from where that comes. Now you examine it for yourself. Sometimes it also happens in our system that an abhyasi derives grace directly. Mostly the reason for this is that he has established a link with the trainer who has established a connection with the source. It is because when your heart is connected with the living guide's heart, unknowingly you have connected to the source, and grace keeps descending on you. And when grace falls, you will experience in meditation, it is like fine rain, and it is so peaceful. This happens automatically. The quantum of grace is directly proportional to the love a person has for his guide, the trainer. See, here he doesn't call guru, he calls trainer. That is the master, the ultimate master, living master. When a person is at the ultimate limit of mergence with the trainer, then it happens that whatever the trainer receives, he transfers to the trainee. That is why our elders have put so much emphasis on mergence, merging in the condition, in the spiritual condition of the living guide. They have stressed the importance of this to the extent that pathways of eternal life are not found without mergence. I am beseeching you again and again, dear brother, learn to immolate yourself. There is no worship better than this. The real meaning of devotion is only this. Your fourth question is grace the force that makes the world, or is there something beyond that? This effectively means is grace finer than ether, or is it equivalent to ether, or is it grosser than ether? If grace is the force that makes the world, then what do you call the force that destroys the world? If we assume that grace has only creation in its nature, it means that by receiving grace we are always creating. If the ultimate created minerals, forests, and human life with His grace, then the grace that comes from the trainer, the guide, will also create something in us. That means something will be added in us. But if we consider ultimate as one, this thought will become a dream and we will be nowhere without any religion or faith. I am not able to understand how you ask this question. The answer should have come automatically with the question. Grace means benefit. A thing which does not benefit us cannot be called grace. Grace is finer than ether. That too I can reply with grand philosophy, but I do not see the need for dissecting it. Dear brother, my mind becomes tired in explaining and expressing higher thoughts. Yet, if needed, I will write 10 pages on this. More or less, it has been explained above. You understand this much. He whose approach is above ether gets his part from there. Everybody gets their part as per their approach. So, we have to go back and read this topic on Maha Maya and understand, read few lines and meditate with prayer, asking the guide that we are connected to make us understand this concept. Somebody put in a chat box if I was okay. I'm doing okay, thank you. My mother just passed away. So there is some feeling of sadness, but I'm doing okay. Thank you all. So we will all meditate now.